Are you curious about what yoga looks like off the mat, or keen to hear how yogis all around the world live? This show will let you in on the secret that there's no such thing as a perfect yogi. Welcome to the Plant-Powered Yoga Podcast. Please welcome your host, yoga teacher, coffee lover, vegan, and known as the Plant-Powered Yogi, Jess Ivers. Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 5 of the Plant-Powered Yoga Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is another interview style episode where I chat with Ainslie Bryce, who is a myotherapist. She's currently living in Bahrain but is from Melbourne. I met Ainslie back in 2018 when I was looking for a new massage therapist or a new myotherapist, and it was almost perfect timing when I met her. It was not long after I'd finished my yoga teacher training and had learned so much more about the human body, and it felt a lot easier for me to describe where pain was coming from in my body that she could fix. And it was always actually just really fun and going and having a session with Ainslie because we'd chat lots and we'd talk about things, and she'd try all these new different things on me with dry needling and moxa sticks. And anyway, she's a really fun person, and she's currently living in the Middle East and working as a myotherapist over there. So looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about Ainslie's story and a little bit more about the human body. So enjoy the chat and I'll see you at the end. All right, welcome to today's episode, and we're welcoming all the way from Bahrain, very far away, Ainslie Bryce, myotherapist to the stars. How are you today?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day today. It's quite hot. It's coming into summer, so it's good.
Oh, lovely. Oh, of course. Heading into the cooler months here in Melbourne. And I know my muscles are missing you heading into these colder months, but can't have it all. So for those of you listening who don't know Ainslie as well as I do, Ainslie is, like I said, my therapist, magic hands. We were just discussing before we hit record about her magic hands and how maybe she needs to insure them like Taylor Swift did her legs.
Yes. I should insure my legs too then. No.
Yeah. But your hands have been referred to as magic hands by multiple people around the world.
A number of people, yes.
Yep.
It's just kind of exciting. Nice,
yeah.
It's a nice way to be remembered.
Yeah, exactly. Look, she had lovely hands, lovely healing hands.
There you go.
But the reason you have healing hands is because you are a wonderful myotherapist. Now, again, for those who don't know what a myotherapist is, which I've found is quite a few people, when I mention that I've had myotherapy sessions, can you explain simply for us plebs what myotherapy is?
Myotherapy is another alternative health branch. We focus on soft tissue injuries and assessment. It is a scientific-based alternative health, like in osteo, chiro, physio realm. We work on, as I said, muscles, fascia, which is connective tissue, and tendons, which connect your muscles to joints and bones. So we're soft tissue specialists. I use massage, cupping and dry needling as my base techniques and some stretches if needed. Other people might use a TENS machine, or there's been new things come out. We have them here in the clinic in Bahrain our branch is called Normatech, and it's like an inflatable stocking you put on your leg, and there's a piece you can put around your hips, and there's one you can have for your shoulders. Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen behind the scenes photos of tennis players using these injuries, or footy players.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's like a machine battery operated thing where you put this stocking on and zip it up over your limbs, and then it inflates, and then there's like segments, and it inflates near your toes first, and then it's like a lymphatic drainage. Wow. It's very gentle, but it's really nice. So we incorporate that sometimes in treatment as an extra little branch. But that's the first time I've heard about it was here. So yeah,
there you go. I know a friend of mine, whenever we watch tennis and see anyone getting treatment done,
we always find it really relaxing. And I just feel like you even just describing that was really relaxing. Just imagining just like a big thing coming over my leg and just relaxing on my muscles. And so good. But I loved my sessions with you, and you did lots of dry needling on me and all my bits and pieces. What's the difference between dry needling and acupuncture, which I'm guessing is probably a common question you might get as well?
Always, yes. As a myotherapist, I am not a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and I'm not an acupuncturist. I do not work on the meridian lines, which are points through our body that correlate with different organs and energy flow in the body, which is traditional Chinese massage. Traditional Chinese medicine, sorry. As a myotherapist, I work on the tight muscles, which is a trigger point. So I will dry needle in the trigger point or around the trigger point. So you can have primary trigger points or satellite trigger points. So you might have pain in your shoulder, but it's coming from your neck or vice versa. So that's my job to decipher with the help of my patient to work out which muscle is in distress and work that out.
I feel like right now, like all our bodies just everywhere in distress, right?
Right. Yes.
How do you just pinpoint one?
Totally.
But that's a really fascinating thing, because I know when I was seeing you, like I often had a lot of pain in my hips. But I remember one session, I think you were using a moxa stick down near my ankle or my calf, because that's where the pain was generating from. Yeah. And the dry needling around. It almost felt like, I remember once going home going, have you dry needled my ovaries? Because that's where it feels like you'd put the needles in. But
deep.
But we have a very trusting relationship, you and I. So welcomed you into all of my nooks and crannies, you might say.
You're welcome.
so grateful. But yeah, how do you decipher if someone comes to you? So say for me, I'm like, oh, my hips are sore, my lower back's sore because I've been sitting down a lot at work or at a desk. And then how do you figure out, looking at someone or looking at their body and figuring out where the pain's going to come from?
It's also a lot of talking. So hopefully, I think this is why I like my job, because a lot of people put a lot of trust in me and tell me a lot of things, from, I just had sex last night, and I'll be like, okay. Seriously, like you get everything when people are on the table or where people are in the cocoon. I call my room the cocoon. People tell you a lot of stuff. So
I feel very safe with you.
Yeah, which I think that's nice, and I think it's very important as well. It's not like you're going to a doctor and it's very clinical, which it kind of is clinical in this room. But, there's soft pillows and there's towels, and we've got an air conditioner at the moment, and warmth when it's winter, blah, blah, blah. But you don't just relate my experiences and my job to finding a dentist or a hairdresser. Like, you're not just coming to see me once, I hope. And I tell my patients, if you don't like what I'm doing, don't stop looking for someone who you're comfortable with, because it's really important for you mentally and physically to have that connection with someone. Like, you're the one getting half naked and getting on my table. So you need a bit of trust there.
A lot of people have
trust
spoken
me
about
like
that with a yoga teacher. I mean, I don't know if you're sort of similar in that way that, I mean, you've just said that you tell people to go and find someone else, but as a yoga teacher, you might, if you see someone and they never come back to your class, be like, I wonder what happened to that person. I wonder what I did wrong.
Totally. Yes.
But it's, you just have to not take it personally, I guess. And you have to realize that there's lots of me around, and they can go and find the one of me that is going to suit them. And I might be that person to someone, but they might need something else from a yoga teacher or a yoga facilitator or same in your like
absolutely.
However, I'm sure you have a very high strike rate.
Yeah, thanks. But there's also been, you also have a connection sometimes with that person, and you might see them twice, and then they find someone closer to home or closer to work, and you might never see them again. And you're like, oh, I really liked that person, and I wanted to know what happened to their sister or their dog or their cat or whatever. And I'm like, oh, is it rude if I send them a text message or something? Like, hi, how's everything going? I hope you're well. How's where's your cat? I'm like, is that weird? I don't know.
No,
But I think
not at all.
sometimes that's the extra connection that you get with that person. And then they're like, oh, sorry, I've just been really busy. I said I was going to call, make an appointment, and I never did. And it's been like a month already. And it's good that you reach out to that person because they're like, oh, I have to ring the clinic now. Or can you tell me if you're available and we make an appointment then and there? Yeah.
Now,
and then you're like, oh, good, it wasn't me.
oh, thank goodness. Now, backtracking just a tiny bit to where you started in myotherapy, but you actually started working for some of the AFL teams in Melbourne. So you worked for the Western Bulldogs.
Way back when I was a student and we needed to get practical hours. So a lot of the professionals, like the physios and sports doctors, you're a student. There's not a lot that you can really do. You also need that connection, I think, with those people for them to trust you to say, oh, hi, this is our myotherapy student, Ainslie. She's just going to watch for the day. Like, these people have been having connection for weeks, months, years. It's their job. They have a joke. Oh, yeah, on the weekend this happened, yada, yada. And you're just sitting there going, that's kind of funny. Should I laugh? Like, I get it. I know what you're talking about. And then it's kind of like, oh, no, that's privy information between you guys or you people, you girls. I don't want to seem too involved. I don't know. It's weird. So, excuse me, as a student, a lot of sports clubs would take you because they've got 20 plus players, plus the reserves, plus the hangers on. Some of the coaching staff would say, hey, if you're not busy, can I get a go? And you'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, it's for your hours anyway. The school knows where you are, so you just sign off. I was at Western Bulldogs from here to here, blah, blah, blah.
One of the teams when I was working in sport.
Really?
Just would have been so good if someone was like, hey, I'm a myotherapy student. Can I come and give you a massage? Do some dry needling?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
At that stage, most of it was hands-on massage, but it was good experience to build up your stamina and your endurance. So I did some work with the Western Bulldogs and I did some work with the Melbourne Demons.
And
both
obviously they can
not great at their time, but
well, look, I mean, the Bulldogs did go on to win in
Ooh.
2017, wasn't it? The premiership. I mean, the Demons, I don't think have.
No, the Demons got to the grand final in 2000, I think. And I think I had worked with them just before or just after, and I was like, oh, my boys are there. But they're not my boys. Collingwood is my team, but anyway.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, we won't talk about that, but
we'll avoid that. Yeah. Moving on along.
But that gave you, I guess, a bit of an insight into working with different types of bodies as well. Obviously, maybe the people that you might see regularly, quite different to football.
And just on a side note, all footballers are the same, whether they're your local footy boys, your VFL, like AFL mid-range, your semi-professional, whatever, to your professional, they're all the same. They all think the same. Sorry, that's rude. And I did some work with Melbourne Storm as well for a little while.
Oh, lovely. Well, we do like the Melbourne Storm down in, I'm still thinking of myself as an honorary Melburnian. The only team there to support. So
yes, that's right. Easier. Just while you're there, it's easier to do that.
Yes. But since then, where has myotherapy taken you? It's taken you to a few places.
So I graduated from myotherapy in 2000, and after high school,
20th year of being a myotherapist.
A graduate, yes.
Yeah.
Technically. Thank you. I did dental nursing originally. So in my other life, I was a dental assistant. So I went to the Middle East again. I was in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia back in the early 2000s. I spent 2 years there. And while I was there, someone had a spare massage table. So I would go around to people's houses and do a bit of cashy jobs.
Yeah.
Bit of massage. Everyone was like, what are you doing here? Why haven't I found you before? I'd be like, I'm dental nursing. Like, why? I'm like, because I'm employed by a hospital to do that here. And it was very segregated then. So it was male, female. I wasn't a physio. I don't think they had massage then. And if it was all private, like underground, dirty type massage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like salon massage. And I was like, no, that's not my deal. I don't dig that shit. Anyway, and I was employed by a hospital, so I wasn't allowed to have a part-time job on the side anyway. That's that.
Well, we won't tell them.
So from Riyadh, I came back to Melbourne. No, I did.
It's a wild life.
So I came back to Melbourne and I was doing
isn't
part-time dental nursing and part-time myotherapy. Oh, man. Then in 2008, I decided to quit dental nursing altogether. I was just a bit tired of it, actually. And I thought, if I don't give myotherapy a red hot go, I'll never know what I can make of it. So I did that from 2008, working for other people, working for myself. In amongst that, get married, have a child, running your own clinic, trying your best to do all the media, pumping up your own tires, which I don't do very well, I have to admit.
No, you
I
don't.
love my job and I love my patients. But when people go, so what do you do? Oh, I should come and see you. And I go, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, do. But I'm not one to push you into anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to explain. I have discovered since that I am a better team player. So I do like working alongside people. It can be very lonely having your own business, especially with someone who doesn't understand it or support you the way you want it to happen.
Yeah.
I ended up in Bahrain last year. I was looking for more work as a myotherapist because I was kind of falling out of my own business. It was hard slog, trying to be there for family, trying to be there as a myotherapist, trying to be there as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, all that stuff. I know, first world problems. So I was looking on my Myotherapy Association website and there was a clinic in Bahrain, an osteopathic clinic, looking for a myotherapist. And I was like, oh, I know where that is. So I applied, one thing led to another, and here I am.
And here you are. And that's been what, almost 18 months? Year and a half? Yeah?
Yeah, year and a bit. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I arrived in January 2019 and then COVID hit and it was like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But thankfully, Bahrain is a little island beside Saudi Arabia. It's not a great tourist destination, unlike Dubai or Abu Dhabi, where a lot of international flights do stopovers and then people fly out from there.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia closed their border and there's a big waterway between the two countries and a bridge crossing. So people that live here and work in Saudi Arabia can drive.
Okay.
That was shut down. So a lot of people who live in Bahrain but work in Saudi left and lived over in Saudi. That shut down a lot of our business, but we still treat expats, male, female, locals, children. So anyone who needs a myotherapist or an osteopath or a chiropractor. Who else do we have here? A Chinese acupuncturist, a dietitian, and we've recently had a physio join our group as well. So there's lots. This is a multimodality clinic, which I love because we can discuss different ailments of patients, share patients, work together, and that's what I like. That's what I like about this job.
This is interesting. I mean, I guess when I think about Bahrain, I've never been there, but that, you know, people that I know in Australia don't know what myotherapy is, and I'm like, huh? What? That there would be a specialised job for someone like you over there in need.
Well, I think they just wanted to grow their practice and have different modalities. We have massage therapists here, but they asked for a myotherapist specifically, and I think it's because of our training that we do the full scientific study of anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, biophysics, the surface anatomy. We include cupping and dry needling in our studies as well. So it's not an extra add-on that I chose to do. It was part of my study. And having all of that together is specialised. And it's more than just massage. And with our ongoing training, from my dental side, I really like working with people who have TMJ or temporomandibular joint problems or head and neck. One of our osteos who's joined us, he specialises in that as well. So it's good to have two different professionals working on that together.
Yeah, it's probably a nice complementary skill set
Mm-hmm.
to have in that way.
Yeah.
But speaking of anatomy, I
Mm-hmm.
think when I met you, it was not long after I'd done my yoga teacher training. I remember getting really excited because when I was talking about the psoas muscle,
Yeah.
you were one of the few people who knew what that was. And I remember I'd come into sessions and we'd start talking about all these weird parts of our body. And it was actually really helpful for me as a yoga teacher because you'd be working on muscles and I guess feeling that experience. And I guess the more that I've learned and taught and understood about the human body, the more you can experience something in your own body, the more helpful it is when trying to, say, facilitate something for someone else. And we were talking a lot about the fascia and all these little parts of our bodies that we didn't really know existed until quite recently. And so, I mean, how much of the human body, there's only so much anatomy that we can learn in a yoga teacher training, and I'm still growing my knowledge of that, but I'm just fascinated as to how you see the human body connected through all its different bits and pieces.
Physically?
Well, yes,
Physically,
that
it's
for a start.
still fascinating me. Yeah, it still fascinates me. And people who have come back have said, I didn't even know that I had headaches until I saw you. And then once my shoulders were treated, I noticed my head was clearer and I was concentrating more. So things like that. And I'm like, you're welcome. So it's the discovery from the other side, from the patient side, that I think I know, but I still love hearing it because it's like, wow, that's amazing. Like, you didn't come to me with a headache. You didn't even mention a headache. I asked if you clench or grind your teeth, and you said sometimes. And then when I said a headache, you probably went, oh, no, not really. Some people are headache people and some people just aren't headache people. You know who you are. Yeah. So when you get that feedback, it's kind of like, hey, all right. So it's still really cool. For the yoga and the other health practitioners as well, I like that mind-body connection. So working with you, Jess, it was good where I could say, okay, so where is that referring to? And you'd be like, oh, okay, so my lower back, that's going down my leg, rah, rah, rah. You understood that?
Yep.
Some people are just so shut off from their body that you'll say, so is that sore? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'll say, so is it going anywhere? Is it referring to another part of your body? They'll be like, what do you mean? I'm like, so when I press here, does the pain shoot up your back or does it go down to your bum? Does it go to your foot? And they're like, do it again. So you do it again. And they're like, nah. And you're like, okay. But you kind of know that it's going somewhere. They just can't describe it to you. So it's sometimes good to get people connected again to that mind body.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of the study that I'm doing at the moment with another teacher training is a lot about that connection. And we're even talking about how just some people aren't aware of the sensations in their body until it gets brought to their attention that maybe that's something they could notice. So I wonder, like, have you ever seen anyone have that sort of change experience though in a couple of sessions with you where they might come in at first and they come in with back pain and you'll ask if it's referring anywhere and they might not know, and then a couple of sessions later they'll start to make those little connections?
Yes. So I have noticed, it's not everyone, but I can't even give you a percentage. I've seen that many people over 20 years where you'll remind them about breathing. So they'll come in with head and neck pain. You treat their neck and shoulders. They might grind their teeth. So you treat their jaw and their mouth. And then I'll say to them, so I want you to practice deep belly breathing. So just when you're lying in bed, put your hands on your belly and do some breathing so you can feel your belly rising and falling. They'll come back maybe a week later and they'll be like, so I've been practicing that a couple of times this week and it made such a difference because I didn't realise how I would go to bed and my shoulders would be up around my ears and then I would do your breathing exercise and I'd be like, oh, wow, I'm really stressed, but like, what have I been doing? And I'm like, well, there's work and family and TV and reading and iPads and iPhones and all that you take to bed with you. And they're like, oh yeah, how did you know that? I'm like, because honey, it's 2019 or it's 2020. We all do it. I do it. And I lie in bed like this going, I should put this down. My arms are sore, my head's sore, like my neck is sore, blah, blah. Put your phone down and go to sleep. So I practice my own philosophies, so to speak. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have done this like half an hour before going to bed.
Yep.
So even myself, I get reminded of these little exercises. So for me, being in the practice of myotherapy and the health industry, it must be like earth-shattering for someone who actually practices and takes what I say to heart and do it. And they're like, wow, what a difference.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank you. Yogis have known this for centuries. Traditional Chinese martial artists have known this for centuries. It's not new. It's just we haven't been taught or we've forgotten. And when you breathe deep, you're not using these little accessory muscles up here to pick up your ribs so you can get more air into your lungs. That's the point of that.
And I remember actually like really coming into sessions with you and focusing on my breath so much, because there would be parts where it would be painful to a certain extent, or just that you know, even if it's when you're putting in the needle or taking out the needle, that there was going to be a sensation of something. And so you'd always say, like, take a deep breath here and let it go. And it was actually really nice because on the other hand, when I'm someone that's directing that to someone else, maybe for a couple of hours a day, it's nice to have that coming to me. Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's good. If you ever happen to come across a session with Ainslie, you'll remember how to breathe. I promise that.
Also working through people's diaphragm. A lot of people don't have their stomach massaged.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of people will go to a massage therapist, and often on the chart that you fill out your health history, there might be a picture of a body back and front that people will say, mark where your pain is with a cross or something. And then they might say, either you'll be on the table and your massage therapist will say, are you ticklish, or you don't want me to touch a particular part of your body? And usually it's obviously sexual organs, so breasts and reproductive organs. Glutes your bum gets really stressed, and that's connected to your lower back and your hamstrings. So some people don't have their bum touched either because that's a bit sexy. And I'm like, I shouldn't have that attitude, but I do, because it frustrates me, because I'm like, and I don't mean to be flippant or rude about this, but it's like, you're just a body when you're on the table. Whereas I know for myself, even if I get a massage, I'm like, I've got hairy legs today, or I just don't feel great. Like, that's why I'm here. Don't touch my bum, or I don't know, something like that. Whereas the therapist will just be like, whatever, doing the job.
You're just seeing everything anatomically. And
Correct. It's not about fat, skinny, muscle, no muscle, cellulite. I'm not about that. So please don't feel that your massage therapist doesn't care. They do. It's just once you're on the table,
you're there to do your job.
You're a body. We're not picking up on, yuck, or, wow. Ooh.
Unless someone's got like a really nice like thigh tattoo or something. I can imagine that would
sometimes
start
you
conversation.
do. Yeah. And sometimes people do come in and you don't see any body art or piercings or tattoos, and then they half naked and you're like, wow, I love that back tattoo. And they're like, thanks. I try and keep it fresh and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, it's impressive. That's all. I think sometimes you've got to be careful about the conversation. I mean, obviously after a while you get to know someone, conversation's a bit more fluid, but if it's the first time meeting, people don't want to talk about their tattoos or their piercings or scars or something. So a scar might be important because you need to know what's happened. But generally it's like, sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's the other type of trust that builds when you have that initial conversation or the initial meeting, is you kind of pick up social cues about what's good for that person to talk about and what isn't.
Yeah. I was just thinking about in terms of like hands-on assists, and obviously, I mean, your job is to touch people. But yes, that element of being aware when someone's touching you, and from memory, I think you were always quite I always knew where you were going to say be putting your hands or touching me
Mm.
on my body, because as a yoga facilitator, if now I'm learning much
Mm.
more, is, don't ever approach someone maybe from where they can't see
Behind.
me. Yes, for lack of a better
Correct.
term.
Yeah.
Where
Usually,
they can't,
or if they're in,
child shape or
or
something,
if
and
their eyes
their eye
closed
their
for,
eyes are closed, they
yes,
can't see me, and all of a sudden my hands are on them. That can be a really dangerous thing to do. So how do you go about that when someone is in a state of, I guess, relaxation or a state of inhibitions down, and they might be sort of drifting away, and being aware that your hands will be on their body? How do you go dealing with that?
Sometimes I verbalize it. Sometimes I'll go to a certain point, which is very important, where you tuck your towel in their underwear or something like that. So that's the barrier, that's the line. And sometimes you just do it. And I think they're so thankful that you just do it. They don't have to think about it. That's another element of the trust building thing. I did have a patient recently who was so funny. This person was slouched in the waiting room looking at their phone, and I went, "Are you my patient? That is terrible posture." And they said, "I know, this is how I sit all the time at home." I was like, "Okay, hi, come in." This person then proceeded to say, "Now, I don't like people touching me." And I'm like, "So why are you here?" And we had a bit of a giggle. Anyway, I went, so the head of my table is that way where I'm sitting now, and the foot of my table is that way, and there's a chair in that corner over there. So they sat down in the chair and they were like, "Oh, I don't really like people touching me that much. I'm always fidgety." And I said, "That's okay." I stood up, I walked to the end of the table and said, "Come on, hug it out." And we kind of joked about it. So I gave that person a hug and I was like, "Are you okay? I'm going to touch you now." "Oh, okay, it's okay." So kind of broke the ice that way.
Yeah.
During COVID, we closed the clinic only for 2 weeks at the end of March, last week of March, first week of April. Since then, we've been told you can still massage, but it has to be over clothes or with gloves on.
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, I've tried to massage with gloves on, but even like powder free, all of that, it's just awful. My hands get sweaty. Then I start getting like a dermatitis and I'm itchy." And I'm like, "No, I'm just not going to do that. I'd rather do anything than wear gloves." So they said, "Okay, we can do it through clothes or over a towel or something." I was like, "That's fine." And I've had people everywhere who have said, "Oh, I don't really like the feeling of oil on my skin." I'm like, "That's fine. Look, if you want, I can massage through a towel. So you still get a bit of skin to skin. But once it starts to get a bit more in depth, we can do some massage through the towel." And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So I've done that before, which helps. Some people, just don't like people touching them. And that's okay. With this particular patient, they left their clothes on and I put a towel over them and I just did some like muscle, fascia, dry massage touch stuff and lots of stretching and little thumb things, along the spine and things like that. Different techniques I use. We can move limbs, hold a muscle and move the limb so the muscle is moving under my pressure. So there's ways around it.
Yeah.
So if you think you're in a bit of, if for the audience, hi everyone, if you just think, "Oh my God, that would just be the worst thing," as I said, don't stop looking for someone. There's someone for everyone, I think. And you may not like massage for whatever reason. There are ways around it. And sometimes I've said to people, "Do you want to just sit on the table? Like you don't have to lie down even, or you can lie on your side and I can work one side and then I'll turn you to the other side. We can work the other side." They're like, "Oh, that would be great. I just don't like that whole face feeling squished. I feel like I can't breathe." And I'm like, "That's okay. I prefer my patient to be alive when I'm treating them and breathing and at the end of the session.
Yeah.
So let's try this." Or you can sit in the chair, work your way around your patient.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear, because as a yoga facilitator, we should always be open to giving people options and giving them lots of choice in what they can do. So it's nice to hear that instead of someone maybe who's a bit apprehensive to touch or to someone else, that they can come to you and not feel like, "Oh, I've just got to lay down for an hour with my face away and not see you and feel very uncomfortable about that." So you're a good egg.
I try.
But we will start wrapping up. But just quickly, you have done in the past, and I'm sure there are some videos still floating around of you. You do see movement as, I guess, as a bit of medicine as well. And you were doing a few videos here and there on little simple exercises and stretches that you could do by yourself at home. You might have had your spiky ball with you, or a foam roller or something, and ways that you can even use those props at home. So,
yes. So a lot of people I found, they'd come to me after being at the physio, the chiro, or wherever, or at yoga. They'd be like, I've been stretching at yoga, but I just can't get that part stretched. I feel like sometimes it can be overstretched as well, and you just need someone to need that out of you. That's okay. But in the interim, especially if you're away and you can't attend a yoga class, or you're sick, but I mean, you're sick enough not to go to class, but you're not sick enough not to go to work, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And you're a bit achy, or you've had a long day at work. So I found a lot of people had a spiky ball or a massage ball or a cricket ball, or whatever they're using. I found a lot of people had a foam roller because their physiotherapist said, right, you need to roll out your ITB, get this foam roller and do this. And I'm like, yeah. So are you rolling out like the front of your legs and your hamstrings as well, and your glutes and your lower back? They're like, no, I just got it for my ITB because I've been running. That's what my physio said. And I was like, oh, this is really frustrating. So, yeah. So then I'd be like, okay, stop rolling your ITB because of your knee pain. That's fine, but do it against the wall. What do you mean? So I'd show them. And I thought, why am I not showing this to other people? Like, everyone thinks you have to lie down on your roller, and it kills. Oh my God, it's so sore.
It hurts so much. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I said, when you're hurting yourself, you just, like, your physio has probably said, I'll do it for a minute each side and you'll be right. Like, every day, morning and night. You're like, I'm not doing that to myself. That freaking kills.
Yeah.
And I might do it before my run, and I might do it after my run, but I'm not doing it more than that. And it's going to be for like seconds. I'm not doing it for a minute each side.
Because then it comes into that point of almost I should be suffering through this because that's the only way it's going to get fixed, as opposed to where's the balance of finding something that can help me but is also not going to leave me screaming in agony. Because I'm sure most people, yes, exactly, most people listening have done that, lied on the floor and stretched out their IT band with a foam roller.
I've done it myself. Yes.
And like sometimes it feels really great, and then other times you're like, oh my God, thinking about it is just making me a bit nauseous. So
yeah, absolutely.
So but maybe people just don't know.
Stretch School. It's an online stretch class or program. I'm still like, this is where I'm a better team player. So I was trying to do this on the side and build up some little, you just pay that money into my account and I can make money while I'm asleep, that kind of entrepreneur stuff.
Yes.
Which I'm still trying to get to, but this is where my whole self-promotion thing sucks. I do have those videos. Now I'm trying to get them all onto YouTube somehow so people can just go to it. I'm hoping something eventuates out of this.
Well,
inshallah. I hope. It's a work in progress. It's always a work in progress. And then sometimes I'll
put all a work in progress.
Just Ainslie Bryce Facebook. Yes. And I'll get so many likes, and people will be like, oh, thanks. I really needed that right now. And then I'll be like, why aren't I doing this more often? But yes, it is coming. There will be, I'm hoping, a YouTube something.
Great.
Because it's easier just to YouTube it than flick through people's stories and yada, yada, yada.
Well,
thanks for mentioning that, Jess.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, where can people find you so that when you do eventually launch all these wonderful things, where can they find all this goodness?
My Facebook is Ainslie Bryce. You can put a little thing there.
We'll have a little note in the show notes for all this as well.
My Instagram is Ainslie BN, I think, or Ainslie Bryce. I've got two Instagram accounts. One's like stuff and one is more my health side of things. So yeah.
Beautiful. We can link all that below.
Check it out.
We've got it all there. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
telling us
the invitation.
About life adventures. So
Plenty of them.
it's been a while. I'm sure we could talk a lot more about them, but that might be a next time one over a glass of wine or something.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and
thanks, love.
Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Cheers. Enjoy, everyone.
I hope you enjoyed that chat with Ainslie. I know I certainly did. She is such a cool person, and looking forward to eventually having her back in Australia so I can go and get my massages done again with her. She's definitely been a favoured body therapist of mine over the years. If you've got any questions for Ainslie or you want to get in touch with her, I'll put all of her links to her social media in the show notes below, where you can follow her on Instagram and check out her website as well. Thanks again for tuning in today, and looking forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again for listening to the Plant Powered Yoga podcast. For more information, visit plantpoweredyoga.com or visit the show notes below. I'd love it if you could rate, review, or even share this podcast with a friend. Thanks so much for helping create a kinder world, and see you next time.